How's it going, everyone? My name is Nathan and this is my channel Epic Bricks, and today I'm here to show you my minifigure stage. This is something I use for TikTok, but it can be used for pretty much anything that you want to do to either record or take pictures of minifigures. It just works out really well. It's basically just a stage that's got some gears in there, and it just makes it so you can record or take pictures of a minifigure in a couple different angles. In my case, I use it to take videos on TikTok to post kind of just a little minifigure highlight. I do some information on them, like what sets they come in, what year they came out, and a little bit of what they're worth. But without further ado, I kind of want to get into some things before I show you the actual build, some things that you're like, why is it so tall? And the reason, or maybe not so tall, but why is it at the height it's at? And that's because I use this to take TikTok videos. And you can see this is pretty much how I set it up here. You get the camera with your tripod on your phone set up, and you get it zoomed in to the right kind of place you need, and then you start your timer, you go, and then right about at 1 is I like to have it when he's like facing forward. So I'll kind of just do a couple rotations, you know, whatever you need, and then you can chop it up. So like if you want it to have like a perfect loop, you can see, like right now you can see the start of the video, he's a little bit to the right. So what you would want to do is end the video so he's looking a little bit to the right. So then we save, and then, so yeah, if you cut it to the right point, you can basically make it so it's a decent loop or close to a perfect loop. Like right here, I didn't do it too great, but you get the point. You can cut and paste it a little bit better. But that's how I set it up, and that's why I have it at the height I have, because you kind of need a minimum height to have your phone. Your phone's not going to be able to record a minifigure at eye level if you build it on the base. And then the other thing is I have two little square base plates on the bottom here, and that's just because generally when you're recording, you have a tendency to bump into it, and just adding this base plate makes it harder to bump and move, so you don't lose that same shot that you were doing before. So let's get into the innards of it, or I'll kind of break it down piece by piece. Obviously there's the minifigure that we used, and for here I needed a little bit extra height. I probably could have gone one base plate or two shorter, but I like the design. But if you need to make them any taller, anything clear, even if it's not clear, it doesn't matter because it's usually not in the shot anyway. I just decided to use clear because, why not? I had them. And then here, this backdrop is not, I used to have it closer like this, but then I needed it further back, so now it kind of hangs off the edge. But as long as it's still and straight, you can make any sort of backdrop you want. It just needs to be at a 90-degree angle like this, and you're good to go. And it needs to have enough coverage, so obviously when you zoom in, you don't see anything behind the background. And then next we have, these are just a series of, this isn't even one base plate right here. This is kind of just, you'll see. So one main part that you want to have for this at the top is one of these spinning pieces that kind of spins freely, and you need it, one of the ones that has a hole in the middle. And these, my pin was a little, I guess I could have used a shorter pin, but just to add extra stability and hold the pin in place, there's a couple extra small pieces with a axle hole in the middle. I remembered the reason you want some of these, and it's because normally when you spin this isn't connected to anything. So what you have to do, or what I did in this case, is I added a couple of these that have an axle hole, and bam. So now the axle is running through that, and now the studs are connected. So now it gives a connection point, and now the whole thing spins. And then here you can see this is where my piece disconnects. So that's the piece I was kind of talking about, and that's why you need the hole in the middle. So right here is a couple of just small black base plates, and then this is a black plate that has, you can see holes in it, so that way obviously the middle one goes right into the spot where the hole lines up, so boom. And then now I can show you the inside, because the black is just here to kind of cover the green so you don't see green in any of the light reflections. But here, I'll kind of open it up. I haven't opened it up in a while because honestly there are better designs out there, I'm sure, but this is just the one I kind of went with because it worked. So there you can see I've just got them kind of connected with a couple of pillars, so that way it kind of leaves the inside open. And let me show you a little bit of a closer look of what we got going on here. So here's the inside. This technique right here, to hold the bottom of this, I learned from the Big Ben set. And that set you can actually see behind me up there. It's the mechanism that controls the clock tower. Where is it? It controls the clock tower. So what I'm showing you right here is, this is what Big Ben, this is how Big Ben's gear system is set up. You see how that works? These two pieces kind of there's actually a way better piece now that I saw in this one Ninjago set, and it's basically a cheater piece. It literally lets you set this up really easily. But basically the mechanic comes down to, you need 2 gears. You can do this with these kind of gears, you can use any kind of gears. I just chose to use these, but any sort of gear system, you just need some gears on this end connected to an axle, connected to a gear, with another gear at a 90-degree angle that's connected to another axle that goes straight up. So that way when you turn this axle, it turns the one going straight up, round and round, and then you get your rotating at the top. And at the end over here, I used 1 big gear and 1 small gear. The reason being, if you want to use your wrist to turn it, you use the big one, and then if you kind of just want to use your fingers to turn it without turning your wrist so much, you can do that. One thing I would also recommend doing that I just realized for my own is add a couple of these washer rings, so that way when you go to push down on anything with the stage, it doesn't go and push the axle directly through the gear. This makes it so you can put some weight on it without the axle sinking, because you need it when you put it in there, that's exactly how you need it. And if it sinks in, it's gonna mess up your height up top. And then you're like, oh, well, why did you use those big soccer base plates? Well, the reason is, again, they happen to have a hole right in the middle. So I base the entire design around that hole. So you can see everything is lined up with a hole in the center, so that way these gears and axles can go through to the top where I need them to be. Now, I would do like a parts breakdown, but that's the great thing about Lego, is that there's so many different ways you could do this and make this work, that you just have to figure out what you have and what can work for you. So don't feel limited if maybe you don't have this kind of gear. You can use these kind of gears. They're just a little clunkier and you might have to build this piece a little bit differently. So just play with it. Just know that it's based on gears and axles, and that pieces with holes in this, like stuff like this is just going to be helpful, because when you're driving that axle through for the rotation, anything with a hole in it is just going to make, obviously you can't use a piece that doesn't have a hole in it. But there are plenty of pieces that you can use creatively that are different from these if you want to get it going that way. I can probably upgrade it a little bit, and I probably will in the future, but honestly right now it's really doing the job for me. And then these ones on the bottom, they're just extra height, so it can get it up there, like I said. And then also you notice these are just some pieces, because the way these green pieces are designed is there's a little gap right here, so I just needed to connect them from one to the other so they're not breaking apart all the time. So something like this, since I don't have an exact step-by-step tutorial with an exact parts list, this is something you're going to need to play with, because when I was building it, it was a little bit of trial and error for myself as well to figure out what worked for me with the pieces I had. So it might be a little bit different from you, and your process might be a little different, and your whole design might be based a little different, but this will at least give you some foundation to start with. But I wanted to kind of go also into a few little extra things that I keep on the side, like this jumper plate, and then also over here I've got some extra clear pieces. And the reason for that is, like this minifigure, he's already centered. Any regular minifigure is going to be centered. But when you've got like a BB-8, look at that. He's off to the left or off to the right. So I always keep a jumper plate on hand. I would also use a little bit of height here in combination with the jumper plate for BB-8. I just rhymed a little bit, haha, no, just kidding. But then that gives you a more centered, if you're going for a centered video, it just helps out with the rotation. And then this is something I really haven't messed with yet, but also look how easy that backdrop is to remove. You could totally do different colors, different styles, but there's plenty of potential with this. You can literally, you could probably design it better than me at this point. So go ahead and take this take this as far as you can. And if this helped you guys in any way, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, comment with what you're going to do with yours when you get it built, and then subscribe if you already haven't subscribed. I'd really appreciate it, guys. I'm going to be posting a lot more YouTube content as I move on here. Thank you so much. Have a great day.